Hello everyone, today I'll continue learning Python, and today I'll explain you how to make voice chat using Python, PyAudio and Twisted. So let's start. First of all, if you're not familiar with Twisted or PyAudio, for example, you should watch my other videos where I'll explain to you about Twisted. I have no videos about PyAudio, and PyAudio it's a very small module, but I'll explain it for you today. Okay, so you should watch my video P2P chat in Twisted, because actually I will not explain how to make a server, how to look for the peers and so on. Today we'll just make a voice chat. Okay, so we'll start from twisted.internet, .protocols, or just protocol. I'll import datagram protocol. So datagram protocol, it's a protocol which uses UDP. And why do we use UDP in Twisted? Because UDP is a protocol which is fast. And when we call or when we use video, we need our data to be sent very fast and received very quickly. And because of that, we'll use UDP. That's easy. Okay, then let's create class called client, and we should inherit from datagram protocol. Okay, then client like that, and we need three functions today. First of all, function called define initialize, then function called define send data or record, let's call it record, and then function called define datagram received. So we have three functions right here. First of all, initialize, but actually in Twisted it's better for you to use start protocol function, but okay, I will just use start protocol function. For Twisted protocols, it's just like initialize. It's the function which starts our protocol. Then we have a record function, and then we have datagram received. So records for our voice. So when I will speak, I will use record function, and then datagram received receives data. So data in UDP, it's called datagram, and datagram, it's our data, and address, it's what address sent our data to us. So for example, address number 1, address number 2, and address number 3. But of course, address is an IP address. So for example, 192 and so on, and the port. So address or IP and the port, IP address. I think you understand. Okay, now let's create our first stream. But actually what we need to do is create our PyAudio. So PyAudio object, PyAudio, like that. I just create PyAudio object which helps us to work with PyAudio module. Then PyAudio.open. That function opens or creates a new stream. And we have two types of streams in PyAudio. Output stream and input stream. Input stream, it's a stream which we use when we speak. So for example, I speak to my microphone right now and I'm using input stream. But when we hear, we use output stream. I think you understand. Okay, we need to create two streams, self-output stream equals PyAudio open, and there are lots of parameters in it, in PyAudio open. And I just need to look right here, and as you can see, we have lots of parameters. So rate, sampling rate, number of channels, it's a number of channels, so left, right channel. Then format, it's the format of your audio, so sampling size and format. I will not explain every parameter today because it will take lots of time. If you want deep explanation of PyAudio module, you can ask for it. Then input, it's a Boolean feature which defines if your stream is input or not. And you have output, which defines the same. So if your stream is input, so if you want to speak to your stream, you should make input as true. If you want to hear from your stream, you should make output as true, and input as false. I think you understand. By default, input and output are false. Then input device index, I'll not explain that today, is just your input device and your output device. For example, if you have two headphones or two microphones, you can choose what device you want to use right now. Frames per buffer, it's how much frames you need your buffer to store. Actually, I will not explain it. If you understand stream API in Python, you understand what does that mean. For example, you will send 2048 bytes to your client, and your client will read that amount of bytes. And yeah, I will not explain anything after that because there are lots of parameters in that function, and it will take hours for me to explain everything. Well, okay, not hours, but minutes. Okay, first of all, what we need to do is make our stream output. So output equals true. Then what we need to do is make our sample rate. So sample rate is how much samples we need to record per second, as far as I understand. By default, it's 4100. Then we need to define channels. Channels as two, because we have left ear and we have our right ear. And because of that, we have two channels. Then we need to make frames per buffer. How much frames you need to record for your buffer. So for example, you cannot define very big number here, for example 1 million or something like that, but what you need to do is define a number which is in power of 2. So for example 2, 4, 8, but 4, 8 and 2 are very small numbers. By default your number gonna be 2084 as far as I understand, or 1024, 1024, something like that. So these are numbers which are widely used. Today I'll use 1024 frames per buffer, and that will fit our audio correctly. Okay, then we just copy that and we use not output but input stream, like that. And what we need to do here is provide input as true. That's it. But everything else I will leave the same. Because why? When I want to record an audio, I want to hear the same audio on the other client. So for example, if you're talking to a friend, your friend needs to hear the same audio as you recorded it like 2 seconds or 3 seconds ago. And that's it. So sample rate, channels, frames per buffer should be the same. You can change them, but that will lead to some troubles in the future. Okay, I think you understand everything right here. And now let's move to the record. So how we can record our audio using, of course, input stream. So self.inputstream.read, and we need to provide frames per buffer right here. So what we can do is self.inputstream.frames per buffer, like that. But that is private variable. So as you can see, we have underscore right here, and in Python, if you have underscore before the name of your variable, so the name is frames per buffer and we have underscore before it, it's I don't know if you can see it, access to a protected member of a class. My PyCharm IDE says that, but actually it's just a variable which you should not use. And because of that, I don't want to use it, and I don't want to give you a bad example. I will just use like that. But actually, what is better is to do something like that. So self.frames, or let's just call it buffer, like that, and then I'll copy that, buffer right here, and buffer right here. So that is better because you can understand that. Okay, that number stands for buffer, and if I want to change my buffer, what I need to do is just like that. I think you understand why I use a variable right here, and it's just better for other programmers. Okay, now self-input stream read, but I don't want to read like 2024 bytes at once. I want to speak to my friend, and because of that, what I need to do is put while true right here. So while true, our loop will work forever. Okay, and then I read my data. So data equals self-input stream read, and input stream read returns your byte data, so your raw data, what you said. And then what we need to do is send that data to your client. To do that, what we need to do is self.transport. I use while true because I want my user to speak forever. Because, for example, you can speak for 5 seconds, you can speak for 20 seconds, you can speak for a minute or for an hour. You can speak as many seconds as you wish. And then I just read the data. So read is a method which returns samples from the stream, so which returns our raw data, bytes. We can print our data here, but actually you will see the mess because just raw bytes from our microphone. That's it. Okay, but I'll print it anyways, and then print data, and then after we read our data, save it to data variable. What we need to do is self.transport.write data and where we. So we use self.transport.write to send data to another client. That's it. And we need to provide two variables in it. First of all, the data. So for example, hello, goodbye, but in our case, we send our raw microphone input. And then what we need to provide is where we send that data, because we use datacom protocol, and in UDP protocols, clients are not connected, like they have no sustainable connection. They just send their data and they just receive their data. That's it. And because of that, we will not need server today. Okay, so another client. We need to create that client because we don't have it yet. Another client equals to input write address, and then to write port. So in IP addresses we have two main things. First of all, the address. So for example, that address stands for our local host, so our local machine, and I will use it today. Because I don't want to use two machines, so I don't want to use my phone right now, I will just use my own computer. And nobody on the net, except for my own computer, will see that program, because that address, localhost, stands for our own computer. That's it. And then we have port in our IP address. So port, it's defines what program should work, and port should be unique. So for example, port 1923, as far as I know, port 40 or port 80 stands for Apache web server, and if you use the same port as another program uses, you will receive an error. So the main aim of ports is to help you to run lots of programs and to connect to various programs using various servers. That's it. Okay, now I will define random port. When I run my client, I will create a random port using random module, and I will write that port right here, but port, it's an integer, and because of that, what we need to do is provide int right here. So after that, we'll create a tuple. Tuple is a list which cannot be changed. And let's copy that variable and let's put it right here. So I use self, or I send data to self, another client, and we provide an address and the port right here. Actually, when you create big app like Discord, Zoom, or WhatsApp, you need to use server to identify where your clients are, because nobody writes address like that, and we'll use server to find the clients. But today I will not do that, because I did that in my P2P with P2P chat, and yeah, that's worked correctly. Today I just want to create a voice chat, and because of that we'll write pure address and pure port. Okay, what we should do in datagram received. When we receive a datagram, what we need to do is we need to play it. Self dot output stream, because we want to play it, to hear it. Output stream dot write datagram. That's it. So what do we do here? Let's sum up. Using record, we record our data, and I use while true because I want to speak for as many seconds as I want. Then we record our data using self buffer. So we record 1024 bytes. Then we print the data just to see what does it looks like, and then we send our data using self.transport.write. First we use data, so we send our data and we send it to self another client. Self another client, it's a tuple, a list which cannot be changed, and we provide two things in it. First of all, address, and then we provide a port, an integer. And why do we need to provide an address and a port? Because we use IP addresses like everywhere, and the Datacron protocol is not an exception. We need to send to IP address, and IP address consists of port, or of address and port. I think you understand. Okay, and in datagram received, we just simply write our datagram, so the data we received, to our output stream. And our output stream will just play the data, and that's it actually. So we receive and we play the data. That's it. So we use read to read the data from our input stream, and we use write to write the data to our output stream. That's easy. Okay, now what I want to do is run our self-record function, because when we'll start our protocol, so as you can see, start protocol, I'll just make a bunch of variables, but I will not start our record function. We should not start our datagram received function, because in Twisted we call datagram received when we receive some data. But record function is our own function. So datagram received is used by Twisted, as you can see that icon right here. So if I click on it, I go to protocol of Twisted App Store Datagram protocol. That's it. But if I cannot see that icon on record function, because record it's our own function. Datagram protocol itself has no function record. Because of that, I need to start that function. So self.record will run our function. But that's a problem, because that code, it's a blocking code. The blocking code is the code which blocks your program. So for example, input, it's a blocking code. Until I write something right here or right here, I cannot hear, I cannot record my audio, because input, it's a blocking function. And record, in our case, it's blocking function too, because we use while true. I cannot remove while true because I want to speak again for as many seconds as my user wishes. And because of that, I need while true. But that while true will block our client, and we'll only be able to send data, but will not receive our data. And that's it. I want to hear my friend. I don't want to speak to the void. And what we should actually do is not just call our function, but call it from reactor. So reactor, it's the main event loop in Twisted. I explained it in the first video of Twisted, and you should watch it again if you haven't. From twisted.internet, import reactor. So reactor, it's like the main event loop. That's it. So reactor call in thread, where you call our function in thread. So it will split our program to the main thread of our client and to the record thread I call right here. So save.record, but be sure that you not call the function. When you run or when you put parentheses right here, you call the function for the result. But when you go in thread or need to provide a link to the function, you need to just type the name. So save.record, like that. Okay, so again, what I do here, I split my program using call in thread. So in programming we have threads, and my client is the main thread of my program. When I call in thread, I create a new thread, so I split my program to two various threads, which work along with each other. And that's it. Because of that, my while true will not block my program. My datagram received will receive datagrams, and my record function will record from my input stream and will write data to the another client. So if name equals main means that our file is run directly by using Py or Python main.py command in the terminal. If I import my client, for example, in my server, so I'll write import main in my server file, I will not be able to run my client, so nothing will disturb the work. I will just simply have the client class in the server, and yeah, I think you understand. So if we run directly, we will use everything in that if clause. So what we need to do is first of all create our port. So port equals random, or actually let's call it rand integer, from 0 to 10,000, for example. Import this name, from random import rand integer. If you don't know anything about random or rand integer, you should watch my video about random module in Python. Okay, then what we need to do is reactor dot listen UDP. Again, we use UDP protocol, and because of that we need to use listen UDP, which starts the listening loop, and we need to provide our port. So port, and then what we need to do is provide our client. So client object. Now we need to initialize our client. That's it. So I put parentheses. Then I will need to connect both clients, and because of that I will need to see the port. So print working on port, like that, and then port, like that. So again, what I do here, I created a port which is a random integer, so random integer from 0 to that very big number, or actually let's make it from 1000 to, let's make it 3000, for example, like that. Then working on port, I just print that port, so I can connect it later right here. So I'll write the address and I'll write the port, and then I just listen UDP using port and client right here. So listen UDP listens on that port, and it uses that client to handle the information or the data received on that port. That's it. I think you understand now, and I'll run my main.py right now, but I'll record on a very professional hardware, and because of that you will experience some troubles with the noise, I think. Okay, I'll try to fix it, but I don't guarantee that you will not experience any troubles. Okay, now let's just start our program. So again, as you can see, I started my program. It says working on port 1637, and it says write address. As an address, I will write my own computer, so 127.001.001. That's it. And then it says write port. We don't have another port because I have only one client here. Now I need to allow parallel run in my configuration of PyCharm, and as you can see now, I can run two clients. The second client is working on port 2423. Okay, because of that, I need to copy that port and I need to write it right here. So I write it and I press enter. Okay, init got an expected keyboard argument sample rate. That's a problem. Let's go right here in stream, and we have not sample rate, but we have just simply rate. Okay, so instead of sample rate, I need to put rate. I wrote the name not correctly. Okay, as you can see, the first client working on that port. I think I understand now, and I don't want to repeat myself. Then I'll copy that port, I'll write it right here, and I think, oh, missing required positional argument format. Of course, we need to provide a format, and as a format, I will provide PyAudio dot PA integer 16. So again, if you want a deeper video about PyModule or PyAudio module, you should request it in the comments down below. But actually, it's about your format. So how many seconds and how much sample rate you put in your audio. Okay, if you want a deeper discussion about PyAudio module, you should request it down in the comments. So let's just test it without the second user. So for example, port 123 and process finished. Why process is finished? Because of what? Colon thread. Oh, because I forgot to put reactor run. Okay, as you can see, there are lots of problems, but we need to fix it. Okay, so after you create listen UDP endpoint, what you need to do is run your reactor, because you need to start your program. And I forgot to put that, so reactor.run. Okay, so let's call main again. Let's just quickly test it without the second client. And as you can see, when I speak, or actually it's just recording the noise now, and you can listen for that noise for a second. Okay, so as you can see, when we read our data, we have bytes. So bytes object in Python. As you can see, it's a very big string. And I will remove that print data right here. And what I want to do is send that that voice. And what I want to do is send these bytes to the client, and then we'll just simply write them to output stream and we'll play them. That's it. Okay, now what I want to do is run two clients with the real ports, and okay, like that, so my own computer, and then the port is that. So the port is that, and then what I want to do is write my own computer 001, but I will not provide the same port right here, so I will not provide 2561, because I'll record from the same computer and I'll listen to the same computer, and then while I listen, I will send the data listened, and that will lead to the noise. Because of that, I'll just provide a dummy port, so not that big, but 2222, for example, and I'll just listen on that client and record from that client. But actually, if you run on two various devices, you can talk to your friend. That works. I checked it and it works like correctly, but I don't want to do it now, because again, I'll hear the noise if I record and send the data to the same computer, to the same port. That's it. Because of that, I provide that dummy port. So let's run our code now, and now I'll change my headphones, and you'll hear me do it, and you'll hear my voice. So as you can see, I record data, and I send from that client to that client. That's it. So we use input stream to... Okay, I think you heard it, but actually it's pretty hard to listen to yourself and to speak on the topic, because it's not my mother language. English is not my mother language, and it's actually hard even in my own mother language. Okay, so as you can see, I record data from that client and I send it to the second client. You can bond two clients together and they will talk to each other. That's it. So we use input stream to record data, we use output stream to play data. And when we use self-transport write, you don't need to encode your data, because as you saw, when you read from the stream, you receive bytes. And we, clients and servers, talk to each other using bytes. And because of that, we can simply put data right here, put another client right here. If you have additional questions, you can ask them in the comments. But I think I said everything I wanted, and yeah, good luck.